brother Haru from Galactic Guardian TV, hokct. I'm here with a predominant business owner. This is B's Barbershop, located downtown Waterbury, 30 Bank Street, a black business. And we're just building on the fact of police brutality and what goes on in Waterbury, Connecticut.
By right, I think we should have the body cams for the police. I don't know why they're refusing to have them. I think that'll show and tell everything of what goes on. So won't be no hidden, things or saying this and saying that. It'll be all evidence. So, I mean, that would be the first thing. Whatever he did was all allegations. Should have to be proven.
Facts.
Doesn't mean he should have been shot or beaten, whatever the case may be. So, I know we got to find out. We got to get down to the truth. And the body cam would have pretty much explained it all.
What's going on? It's brother Haru from GGD 720, HOK, Connecticut. We downtown Waterbury, Connecticut at Bloodlines Tattoo, 18 North Main Street. I'm here with the Galactic Guardian, Asar. What's going on, my brother?
You already know, man. Everything, peace, love, and light. You already know. We here to, address a few issues before I have to clock into this 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? Which is really an 8 to 3 for me, or 3 to 8, I should say. But I'm beautiful, man. What's going on? What's the science?
Nothing, man. We building on the brother that was just recently shot by the police, Rashamel Rogers, on Thursday, March 9th. He was shot 3 times by the police. Allegedly, he was in a stolen car. So it's a lot of uproar in the community on what happened to this boy. So I just want to ask, what is your thought and take on, let's just talk about excessive force and police brutality in Waterbury, Connecticut?
Yeah, I think even more so than just in Waterbury, Connecticut, I think that police brutality is a worldwide issue, especially in the United States. And I'm just speaking from not only from what I see and what I hear, but from experience. I still have a loose tooth. I still have a loose tooth here from being assaulted by police. You know what I'm saying? When they really didn't have to assault me because I was already under arrest. So after I was cuffed, they stomped me out and did what they had to do, smacked me with the nightstick a couple times. I was actually in somebody's backyard, so nobody got to really see, so they drugged me out from the back, and I was looking, and I was looking real crazy. The way, my face was big, left side of my face. And so I'm speaking from experience, man. You definitely got to be careful out here in these streets, not only from individuals that may look like you, but, the police, you know what I'm saying? For the most part, they have instilled fear into the community when they're supposed to be here to protect. And, to me, that's ass backwards. When people see police in our community, first thing they want to do is run, get low. They don't feel protected. They feel like they see the enemy. So, that's something that definitely has to be addressed. And from what I heard, I seen an interview with the kid, his parents, his people came up from down south. And I guess his father is already from this area. I seen his father actually out here. And from the story that was given, he was basically kidnapped. He was assaulted. He was actually shot up. After he was shot up, they took him to the hospital. Nobody was allowed to come in. The hospital was on lockdown. And then they told the family that they were locking the hospital down for the fear that whoever shot him was coming to finish the job. And the whole time it was the police. So when that's crazy right there. And the fact that he was shot Thursday, his parents didn't get to see him till Saturday, and then only for 5 minutes, and then only one parent was able to come in. So there's limitations on who was able to see him, how he was probably able to, how much information he was he was able to spew out. And then also they transported him somewhere else. They kidnapped him basically. They shot him up and kidnapped him and gave a false story on the fact that somebody was going to come to finish the job, and the whole time it was them.
Wow, that's powerful right there. So my next question is basically pertaining to your own personal experience. Now, were there any body cams or any dashboard or anything like that when the police assaulted you?
Well, no, there wasn't. Like I said, I was actually in the backyard. I was in the backyard, and at the time, I had a warrant for my arrest, and it wasn't a violent warrant. It was just I missed court. So, that was the probable cause for them to actually jump out and search me. Even though when they jumped out, they didn't know it was me. They jumped out, and the kid that I was talking to, we was standing at the corner store, he took off running. So they grabbed me, and the direction he ran. They took me where the direction he ran and asked me, well, did I know who he was? And I gave them the whole, story. Or no, I didn't. I was just coming out of the store. He was buying a loose. He asked me for a light, which was the real story. And you guys happened to just pull up. And then they just started whipping my ass. And then after, they put me in the cuffs. They called for backup. And when backup came, they really stomped me out. And then they found out that when I was in the back of the car, they ran my name. They realized I had a failure to appear. And I actually heard the cop say, good, you got a failure to appear. This is probable cause.
Wow, that's powerful. Another question I have, this recently happened to a cousin of mine. His name is Dimitri Heath. Do you have any insight on what took place with Dimitri Heath and your feelings on that?
Same situation. That's my family as well. Free Fetty. Yeah, man. I didn't really get the scoop. I just know that it was a late night pullover and they tased him in his face. They say he wasn't under compliance. And hey, what's up? How you doing? Yeah, so they tased him in his face, and then they continued to assault him or whatever, and then he made the front page of the paper, and they used the worst image of him that they could possibly find, which was the one where he was assaulted and abused. And the reason that they did that, in my opinion, was it showed that they had nothing to hide. So they said, okay, let's use the picture, put it out before somebody else puts it out, so that it looks like we didn't have anything to hide. We put it on the front page that we whipped his ass, basically. So, but at the end of the day, he was on parole. And that's another thing, as indigenous Aboriginal people, we have to learn how to play the game. There's a game being played, you know what I'm saying? And if you've been following the pills, you've been watching the videos called Fear of the Blackamoor Messiah. And Fear of the Blackamoor Messiah is more based on the spiritual essence of our people wanting to do better for themselves and getting a collective of people to follow what they're doing, which is doing positive things. And that's the worst fear for the so-called white man, you know what I'm saying, or those who some people would call. I never called them the elite, and I never called them. I don't like the word to use the word white supremacist, because supreme means master. So if you call them white supremacists, you're giving them all the power. They're just really basically, the biggest frauds in the game, because even though they have control of everything, they're not producing none of this stuff. White people don't make Apple phones. You know what I'm saying? They make those in China. White people don't make diamonds. They grow in the earth. White people don't make PlayStations and Sony. They don't do none of this. They're just the best middlemen on the planet. They know how to come in, get what you have, make money, and give you back what you wanted, and make theirs off the top. So they're not creating anything. And the reason they're not creating anything is they're not connected to the source. They don't have what's called melanin. They don't have that spiritual essence to go out and just create. And I can just show and prove in real time, even when you're playing basketball and you play sports. Athletes, when you look at black athletes, and you look at athletes of color, I should say, and you look at white athletes, you can see the difference. You can see how spiritual connection to the universe, we're able to dance better, we're able to do things that they can't do. So there's a state of envy there, and with that envy comes pressure. So like I said, we got to get rid of these terms such as white supremacy. They're not supreme, okay, for one. And that's basically how I see it, man. They're basically just bullying their way. But things are starting to change. People are starting to wake up. Social media is a form of information that we didn't have before. We got to understand that they control the news, they control CNN, they control Fox. So when they report these things or when they put these things up, they're going to do them in favor of themselves. Now we have social media, people go live, the cops pull you over, people pull it out their phone, recording it, and things of this nature. So now it kind of evens the playing field. So, I would say as a people, what we need to do is we need to be more clean cut. We need to stop catching stupid charges at young ages, stop doing dumb shit like stealing cars, and because all these little charges add up. And then when they come for you, they're going to use your record. They're going to say he's been arrested 12 times. But those 12 times was standing in front of your grandmother's house. Somebody else was arguing or making noise. Y'all was playing the music loud. All of these things add up, and stop pleading guilty to things that you didn't do. when they grit you for loitering and they pull up and that's your grandmother's house and you standing in the front yard and they take you downtown and give you a charge, stop being scared and going to court and saying, okay, give me 12 hours community service just to leave me alone. Because what you're doing is it's going on your record. Saying, hell no, that was my grandmother's house and I'm not pleading guilty to that. You know why? Because trial cost is about $100,000 and they're not going to spend $100,000 just because you were standing in the front yard. So we got to stop being so scared and know the law. If you're going to be dealing drugs and you're going to be in the streets, know the law, because sometimes they just come in your house with no warrant and you so scary, you let them in. So, you know, I think being a thug means, or being a gangster, it means more than just going out here and punching your own brother in the face. It means standing up for yourself. You know what I'm saying? So we need to change the energy. We need to stop being so gangster with ourselves and start being gangster in the face of adversity.
Wow, that's powerful. So let me ask you another question about the new footage that's came about Mike Brown. What's your take?
I didn't watch it.
You didn't watch it?
Another thing we got to stop doing too, and I'm glad you brought that up. I don't watch that type of stuff. We got to stop. That is how we call it spirit cooking. What they're doing is they're giving you images of yourself at the worst. I don't watch Amistad. I don't watch Roots. I don't watch none of that shit. You know why? Because it happened. And what it's going to do is going to put you in a certain state of mind. And what it's doing is putting you information. They're giving you information. The reason it's called information is because they're putting you in a formation. When you watch Roots, they're making you feel like you're descendant of the slave, when really, when they came here, we was already here. The slave trade is one of the biggest lies ever told in school. Slave comes from the word Slavic. Slavics are Yugoslavians. They're white people. Black people can't be slaves because we're not Slavic. We are prisoners of war. You could call us that. So see, what they did is they tricked you. Now you say that you're a slave, you're a descendant of a slave, you cry this sad story about being a slave, and what you're doing is you're calling yourself Slavic. So you're making no sense. Okay, so you're upside down and you're inside out, and they're putting you in a formation. That's why it's called information. So they're giving you this bullshit information, and they keep pumping these negative things to you, and then you start to feel bad about yourself. You start to feel like, well, damn, I'm a descendant of a slave. Nobody cares about me. You know what I'm saying? Nobody's doing shit for me. Let me go out here and sell crack to my own aunt, to my own mother. I see it all the time. Now you are putting in a formation where you are forming or formulating your mind to conceive things that are not your real reality. Me, I'm a king. I'm not a slave. I've never been a Slavic. I'm a melanated god. My people come from Kemet. And the Native Americans that was here, America, we got to understand, America consists of Canada, what you call United States, Central America, which is Mexico, and South America, which is Brazil, Peru, all of that. The Americans were black. We were already here. That's why they called, when Columbus landed on this side of the planet, he called us West Indians. Why? Because we look like the Dravidians from India and Africa, which was Ethiopian. So when you arrive, you say West Indian, you're talking about Dravidians from the West. So he was saying to his people, which was the Queen of England and stuff like that, that wow, when I landed down in South America and Puerto Rico and DR, I saw West Indians. I saw black people. Okay, he didn't come over with slaves. At that time, white people didn't know how to build boats big enough to carry millions of people. We taught them how to navigate. That's why we call Moors. Moor means more. More means those who traveled the water. Water paddles is a Moor. When you moor the boat, you are using a water paddle. Who are the Moors? Indigenous, Aboriginal, dark-skinned people. So we was the first one traveling the seas. So we've been tricked, bamboozled, and put in formation. I don't watch that stuff. And I advise y'all not to share this shit on Facebook. I see too many black people sharing people having sex with animals. People getting knocked out. Women getting beat down by their men. All of this stuff is putting you in a formation. It's making you feel bad about yourself. It's making you look at the world different, and that's not who you are. Share the positive stuff. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't watch the Mike Brown. We already know the science behind it. We know they killed the brother. We know they shot him in the head after shooting him down. So he's on the ground and you shoot him in the top of the head. That means you wasn't being attacked. How can I be being attacked and shoot you in the top of the head when you're on the ground? Simple mathematics.